So the goal from the very beginning, I think, was for her to feel loved, to be at home as much as possible, and to have any pain that would come up controlled. Do you think that's accurate, Brian?
Yeah, and the other two things we talked about last night were minimal time at the hospital and minimal painful intervention. So we weren't just saying, okay, bring her
She was
straight to
DNR
surgery.
from birth.
Yeah, do not resuscitate from birth.
So that's where we started. The most important goals continued to be the same throughout her life: to be loved, to have as little time in the hospital as possible, um, and to be at home. But she, in everyone's best guess, we were going to have up to 8 weeks with her. And that's not what happened. She started growing and she continued living. And as we would later find out, like technically, her heart made new pathways to keep her alive. I think I remember Dr. Henner at one point saying, like, we don't often get to be wrong, but when we do, we really love it. So everyone was wrong in their predictions, and she moved here to Colorado with us. We had to obviously switch palliative care or hospice care teams, but she stayed in hospice when we moved here, and she just continued to live and grow. And our hospice nurse here in Colorado one day on one of her visits asked me really gently, with like no pressure, I know you've made all your choices, but just in case, do you want to see a cardiologist at Colorado Children's and get a second opinion because she's lived so much longer than anyone thought? And we were like, we've only ever heard terrible news. So sure, like, let's go do it. Yeah, she's still here. So we went and did that and heard the same thing. It was nothing different. It was just that this is the reason she's still living, but like, there really aren't good options that we're able to offer you here. But there's this one surgeon in California, and it's probably going to be a no. But would you want us to send her information to him just in case? And we were like, again, it's not going to be anything new if he says no. So sure. So they sent it to him. He called us and said, I'm 99% sure I can do it. And we were like, well, how do you argue with 99%? You really don't. So we took her out to California for a surgery, which was, by all accounts, wildly successful. We brought her home. She grew and she ate and she lived for a whole summer really well. And then we had to bring her back for a second really intense surgery. And it technically was successful, but she just was not the same afterwards. And it was clearly not what her body wanted. And she died pretty soon after that. I think in the cardiac world in particular, you can get trapped. There can be a lot of pressure because, I mean, think like a cardiologist, a cardiothoracic surgeon, the whole team, their job is to save your child's life. So if that means 2 years in the hospital, that means 2 years in the hospital. But that was actively not one of our goals. Our goal was the opposite of that. We didn't want her life. We didn't want to save her just to have her live a life in the hospital. And I think it would have been much harder to stay true to that without Dr. Henner's team saying, you deserve a say in these decisions. You know how best to love your child, essentially. I think the goal was just, it was always there. It never really changed. So honestly, it was emotionally, I'm sure, really hard that the first surgery went so well and the second surgery didn't. But it was also so obvious that she wasn't happy. And all we really wanted was that. So it's okay that it didn't go, that we didn't get the big miracle. Didn't actually matter.